Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Common Ground on the Hill's Appalachian night, our third night of concertizing here in Traditions Weeks 1. We have a lot of great music for you. We hope that you're not screen weary by now. I think everyone is, but you know what? If you don't want to watch, you can listen. And please tell your friends that this is happening. Send them a text, and we'll be running for about an hour. There's some great music, so enjoy. The folks who are going to be playing for you tonight, as always, are folks who are teaching at Traditions Weeks at Common Ground on the Hill. And we have a special surprise for you tonight because we are starting out with some magic. I mean, everybody needs a little magic in their lives now, certainly during this COVID thing and certainly during everything else that we've been wading through. We need some magic to elevate things. So we'd like to introduce to you our magician, Dave Thoman.
All right. Hey, everyone. Wow, it's great to be here with you tonight. Looking forward to performing and having some fun with everyone. In fact, I have to tell you, pardon me. what a great response of a sound effect I have here in my home theater tonight. Hey, it's great to be with you all. My name is, again, Dave Thoman, D's Magic. It's great to be with you here for Appalachian Night and the 26th year of Common Ground on the Hill. I must say I'm particularly excited to be here knowing the conditions we have right now in our world and that we could be continuing this tradition online with you. So I want you to know I grew up not in Maryland. I've spent most of my life in Maryland, but I actually grew up near Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. So I'd walk around the park a lot like that and want to do some magic for folks. So instead of using a tradition magician's hat, check this out, everyone. I'll let you look inside this hat because I thought we would start tonight's show with something very, very sweet. You know what you find at Hershey Park? Oh yeah, you find all kinds of Hershey's chocolates. There we go. Hopefully no one has a peanut allergy out there. They were virtual. We don't have to worry about that. But yeah, see? I have something sweet for us here tonight. Some good bars and some plain chocolate. So I thought I would show you something sweet. That's the benefit of doing some magic here tonight online because this is not something I, of course, could be doing at the college stage. So here we go, everyone. Let's perform something sweet. In fact, normally when I see someone, I actually give them the candy when I'm done, and I ask if they like a Hershey or a Good Bar. Why don't we go ahead and start with that Good Bar? In fact, you know how you make a Good Bar disappear? Well, you can eat it. Yeah, in fact, if you unwrap the chocolate and put both in your hand together, unwrapped, good thing I have a napkin here. If I unwrap both, it would get a little messy. But check this out, everyone. Watch. Wait a minute. There it is. Right there. Back in the hat. There we go. So when we started this, we started with the plain... No, I'm sorry, my mistake. We actually started with the Good Bar. And in fact, this is what's going to happen, everyone. The candy in my hand, I want it to make sure it can end up back here in the hat. So watch, everyone. There it is, everyone. There we go. Something sweet to start our show tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Something sweet. And, you know, I wanted to make something, a big deal, I guess you could say, out of presenting some Common Ground on the Hill magic with you here tonight. So I thought I would really make a big deal out of it. In fact, those of you who got to know me very well last year will quickly learn that I'm not playing with a full deck. Well, look, I have red cards. I have red cards in a blue card box. But I was a little bit torn tonight with the idea of doing a card trick. I mean, you can look anywhere on Instagram. There's a plethora of card magic out there. So I was torn between the idea of doing any type of card magic here tonight. Don't try this at home. That'll be the last game of cards you play. So I thought I'd let our host of tonight, Walt, play a little game.
All right.
All right, here you go.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Magic is Right.
Walt, I have 2 piles of 5 cards now, half and half. And this is, I don't know if you can see this here, I have the tabs numbered. This would, of course, be pile number 1. This, of course, would be pile number 2 here. And we're going to play a game called Will the Cards Match? Walt, you and I are going to shuffle the cards online. And we're going to shuffle them by spelling the words, will the cards match? So, Walt, let me just give you an example of how you're going to help me. I would ask you to choose pile 1 or pile 2. And let's say you chose pile 2 to start. What I would do is pick up pile 2 and you and I would shuffle it together. How? I would spell will the cards match. I will spell the first word. And let's just, again, this is an example. W, I, but Walt, you can say switch.
Switch.
Anytime you want. And if you said switch, I would then switch to pile 1 to continue spelling. L. In fact, you could have me switch again if you like. Switch.
Switch.
And there it is. So this is the idea. Walt, this is how you and I are going to end up shuffling all 5 of the cards. So Walt, to continue, we're going to spell the. All right, starting with pile 1 or pile 2?
Pile 2.
Pile 2. And we're going to spell T-H-E, and you can tell me to switch anytime. T.
Switch.
H. E. Will. V. Walt, pile 1 or pile 2?
Pile 2 again.
Pile 2 again. We're going to go pile 2. I'm going to spell cards. I'm going to spell cards, and again, you can tell me to switch. C. A. R. D.
Switch.
Very tricky there. S. So here we go. In fact, I want you all to get a good view of what is actually happening here, because Walt is indeed choosing pile 1 and pile 2. In fact, we have to spell the word match. So Walt, this is pile 1, this is pile 2. Which pile are we starting with?
Let's go with 1 this time.
Okay, and we're spelling match. M. A. T. C.
Switch.
I was going to say, some people don't have me. There's the H. So, here we are, everyone. There it is. So, Walt, you and I randomly shuffled these cards. You decided what piles was starting first, 1 or 2. You had me switch anytime you wanted. And what's great about this is I always feel it's an accomplishment, even if I only get 2 out of 5. Because, I mean, the odds of us, Walt, making this work out are impossible. But let's look at our first one here, everyone.
Whoa.
I see a match.
Whoa.
I see a match.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on here. Let's go to the second one here. Wait a minute. That is also a match, Walt.
Whoa.
Wow. Now, hold on here. Let's get an aerial view of this for those of you watching here on our YouTube stream. Common Ground on the Hill, Appalachian Night. We've got some great Appalachian music coming up and stories. You know what? Could we have 3 out of 5, Walt? That would be amazing. Could we end up tonight?
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Look at that, everyone.
Come on now.
You know, I should just stop right there. I should just stop right there. I mean, because, I mean, I'm ahead. I'm over 50%. I should just go with that right there and just end it. We should just end it right there. But we know if these 2 match, we know these 2 match. So let's see what we have.
Drum roll.
Whoa. Will the cards match?
Oh
Give
man.
Walt a round of applause, everyone.
Hey, you should run for president.
That is incredible. But you know, the only problem with this is a one-trick thing. In fact, this is why I don't teach this trick or even show it to people, because now you can't play cards. I mean, you're done. But you know what I can do? I teach an advanced magic class at Common Ground on the Hill. So I have an idea, everyone. Perhaps we can shuffle these cards up. And instead of having will the cards match, oh my goodness, how about will
Get
the
out of here.
cards restore, everyone? Thank you so much. In fact, I have a little surprise before we leave. I've enjoyed being with you here tonight. I'm looking forward to the other acts. And before I end, since I was handling chocolate, let me make sure my fingers are clean. Hey everyone, D's Magic, thank you so much.
Dave Thoman, amazing. Want a round of applause. That's some great magic. And by the way, folks, you can learn to do this in week 3. You can take the advanced magic class with Dave online. I think we're onto something there. I think he should run for office, frankly, because we need some miracles. We need some miracles happening. So thanks to Dave Thoman. And remember, support your artists. You may want to bring Dave virtually into your home for a party. A virtual party. Okay. I don't think we've heard from Larry Rice yet, have we? So let's move to our friend who is now. Jeff, are you in New Hampshire or
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
New Hampshire?
Yeah.
But it was a much longer trip last year to get to Common Ground. Had to come all the way from New Hampshire. Last year, Jeff was with us along with Brian Bowers, and we just fell in love with Jeff's music and his talents. And he's teaching a very interesting course this time. Aside from all his musical classes, he's teaching vermiculture. That is, he's teaching how to raise worms. I don't know about you folks, but I've been doing a lot of gardening lately, and I think I will be for quite some time. Rather than go to the grocery store, I'm going to go out and pick stuff off the vine. So you might want to check out that class if we have it next year, vermiculture, how to raise worms. But can't wait to hear Jeff tonight. He's a wonderful musician, great singer, and also, as I remember, a drummer too, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing quite as much of that these days, but I have a background studying percussion over at Ohio University.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What town are you from tonight?
I'm in Jackson, New Hampshire.
Jackson, New Hampshire.
Way up in the White Mountains.
Oh, must be beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good time of year up here.
Well, I'm glad to see you without your mask in a safe place. And give us some music, Jeff.
Sure, yeah. The first tune I'm going to do, just to change the mood a little bit from that amazing magic, is a tune by a guy named Steve Werner, who I crossed paths with out in California when I was doing a show with Brian. And here it is. When they pull the sheet across my face, will you sing songs of a rover, will you sing? Na, 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 when my face is covered over, when these fingers no longer play upon this wood and steel, will the wood come dust and strings red rust, when my ashes line the field? I'll feel no breeze of the open road, my wandering days behind me, and death's kind hand will lead me where only memories can find me. Soul be free, will still see me in the sunlight in your window, and hear my whisper in your ear, in breezes singing soft and low. I'm only gone a few steps on, and ever I'll be near you. Say my name and I'll be by your side. Sing my songs and I will hear you. I've only gone a few steps on, and ever I'll be near you. Say my name and I'll be by your side. Sing my songs and I will hear you. And then I'm gonna pick up the mandolin here and do a couple instrumentals that I wrote. The second of which is one I wrote yesterday after teaching my vermiculture class and having a cup of coffee, realizing I was going to do this little set for you guys tonight. I think I'm going to call it the Communication Breakdown. But another one first here. Thanks so much.
All right, man, that was some fine mandolin playing. And did I hear that you just wrote that tune today? That's pretty amazing. Reminds me of the fact that week 3 we were having mandolins on the hill with like 6 different wonderful mandolin instructors. And Jeff, if you're not doing anything, we invite you to tune in with that. And we'll grandfather you into those classes. It's going to be great. Mandolins on the hill. But thank you so much, Jeff. And while you were playing, I was thinking we are hoping next year to be back on the ground again here at McDaniel College. And if that's the case, our intention is to replicate this year's catalog and have these wonderful performers who have really helped us put shoulder to the wheel in making this happen this summer virtually. We hope to have them back with us for real next year. So, not that this isn't real. So let's see. Jack, Rex, who do we have anybody else on here? Let me check out my, oh, yeah. Oh, we're doing well here. I was just checking to see who's here. And our next performer, Mary Lynn Vandeman, who is, this is her 2nd year with us. I was reading all about her. She has a real music degree. And she has something in common with another common grounder, Liza DiSavino. I understand that your main instrument at one time was the French horn, and that's the same thing is true with Liza. She played, I think, in the New York Philharmonic. So, maybe you all should put your folk instruments down for one set, and we have a French horn duet. But so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and where are you broadcasting from?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, that's the same place where they have the IBMA
Right.
Fest at the end of the year. Are you a native North Carolinian?
I am. I'm originally from High Point.
Wow. So no bad winters for you.
Right.
So make welcome on the hammer dulcimer, or gosh, I'm forgetting his name now. From Silly Wizard, the great fiddler. He calls it the strung coffee table. But we know it's much more than that. It's the wonderful hammer dulcimer. Who made your instrument?
Dusty Strings.
Dusty Strings. It's a Dusty Strings. And folks, you can see it has a damper mechanism there. And this is sort of like the Cadillac of the Dusty Strings. But make welcome Mary Lynn Vandeman.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to thank Walt Michaels for inviting me. A couple of years ago, Ken Kalodner asked for permission to bring a student up on stage with him. And I'm not sure how afraid Walt was, but he said, sure, what could possibly go wrong? So, and then I was Ken's assistant last year and very appreciative of being on staff this year. I'm teaching the beginner and advanced beginner hammer dulcimer class. So shout out to that class. I've had a great time this week. So all the tunes that I'm playing tonight were arranged and taught to me by my teacher and mentor, Ken Kalodner, and I'd really like to thank him. And that was Eagle's Whistle, and for Ireland, I Dare Not Tell Her Name. I'm going to close out my set with Will Ye Gang to Kelvin Grove. You may know it as the hymn by the tune name The Summons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Lynn. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
And it was interesting while you were playing. I was looking around our room here, our virtual room, and looking at everyone and thinking about how important music is and how we all are separated, but we're connected by this music and of course this technology. But it's very moving to hear this music and soothing. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. We have next a person who's been with us for a number of years. I'm so happy he's been able to check in tonight. I sent him the wrong email, or sent to the wrong email address, so he made it in just under the gun here. But I wanted to show you something that this gentleman gave us in our second year. It's a beautiful woodland flute, handcrafted for us, and this lives in a very special place in my office. It reminds me of Sakim whenever I see it. Sakim is Appalachicola Creek, and he's a tribal leader, and he's been teaching with us, as I say, for a number of years. This year, he is teaching, let me look it up because I have a bad memory. He's teaching contemporary Native American philosophy and religion, contemporary now, and Native American tribal arts. I dropped in on his class today. It was good to see him there. So, Sakim, welcome. Good to see you.
Hello. I hope my mic is on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Am I on? My turn?
It's your turn.
All right.
We need to spotlight you. Engineers, are you there? There we go.
Oh dear, I liked me better when I was smaller. Well, I'm going to do, hopefully, if the voice holds out, 2 very short stories. Both are true, and both exhibit the character of Common Ground. One of the stories I have put on my Facebook page once or twice over the last few years, and some of you will know the principles involved. And the other story happened today, and it turned my heart into a bubbling mess of joy. So the first little story is called The Bear and the Banana Pudding, and it really happened. Some years ago, a friend of mine named Greg was one of the founders of a musical group out in Austin. Their initials are NDNZ, and sometimes it's NDNS, which stands for Indian. He was one of the founders, and he's part Indian, belongs to our tribal community, but he's been a musician in Texas for all these years. Well, he decided to do something crazy and get married. So, as customary, he called up and asked if I would do the traditional ceremony. Of course, I said yes. So they flew into Tallahassee, he and this young lady, and we decided the marriage would take place in the family homestead down over on the Cockney River, which is a very beautiful place to be. And the time and date was set. And we decided it would be the traditional short ceremony, kind of like what Jeremy Wright and others have had. And there'd be a covered dish. And they asked what I would want in payment. And I said, well, I'm not allowed to accept payment, but homemade banana pudding is my all-time favorite. And I mean homemade, not out of a package. Well, Gray's mother said, "Don't worry, I got that covered, boy. I got that covered." Sadly, 4 days before the wedding, Gray's brother Keith was killed in a terrible accident. And because of the family tradition, Keith was cremated. So now we were faced with a dilemma of having people make 2 trips, many of them several hundred miles each. Well, being myself and capable of very stupid things, I said, well, why don't we have the funeral and the wedding all at the same time? That won't be a problem. Everybody will already be here. And Keith, who was going to be your best man, will be at the wedding. And Greg thought about it, and in between tears, he started laughing and saying, "By God, that's the answer. I knew it. I knew you'd have something." So it was agreed that we would go ahead with the wedding in 2 days, and we would do the funeral immediately afterwards. Well, we all gathered at the appropriate place. The scene is beautiful. Just on the riverbanks, moss-draped oak trees. A couple of our musician friends came along to play some music. Hank Taylor and Lee Charlie Engstrom and a couple of others. And they played some nice old-time string band music. Then everybody got ready, and we had the traditional native ceremony. And we were about to get ready to have a funeral. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this bear. Came walking right out of the woods. Now, bears have a nose incredibly similar to a dog, only more so. And that bear raised up on his hind legs, pointed his head in the direction of the food table, and walking upright like a man with showing his arms like this, he came marching right toward the food table. Now, I saw this bear out of the corner of my eye, and the whole audience was about to run in terror. But I didn't move. I didn't miss a beat on my dialogue, what I'm supposed to say, and I've said it 1,000 times over the years, so I continued with the ceremony. The audience attending must have thought, well, if that bear is all right with Sarkeen, I guess it's all right with us. And only one little lady got up and moved over by a tree. But everybody else just sat there. Well, the bear came over to the table. He started at one end of that table, and he ate his way to the other end of the table. And he started to put his paw into the banana pudding. That's where I drew the line. I don't care how big he is, anything else. He messes with my banana pudding. That bear is about to become history. And as some of you know, I've raised several bears over the years. I don't care how big he is, I know just where to punch him and knock that boy out. Well, before I could move, he set his paw down from the edge of the pudding, and he picked up this beautiful brass canister. Unfortunately, this canister at the end of the table had Keith's ashes in it. And somehow he managed to knock the lid off of it, and that ash flew all over the end of the table, all into the middle of my banana pudding. I was so upset, I was going to rip that bear's butt anyway. And, but then the ash got into the bear's nose, and he sneezed 2 or 3 times real hard, real violently. He turned and ran toward the woods, and the last I saw of him, he had his head down in the river trying to wash his nose out. Well, I didn't miss a beat, as all those people attending can tell you. I continued with what was to be the eulogy, and the only thing I could think of to do, and I picked up the nearby shovel and handed it to a young fellow, and I said, "I think we need to make this hole a little bit larger." And so he opened the hole a little bit larger, and with great sorrow in my heart, I mean, I was aching all over, I interred the banana pudding along with what was left of Keith. And the moral of this story is that it's nice nowadays. You don't have to have a fancy casket, any of those stuff. We call this the Pyrex burial. So, the bear and the banana pudding and Chief's ashes made for one hell of a day. Now it's going on 25 or 30 years, and it's still the talk of the town. And occasionally, the local newspaper brings up the story. Since Greg was something of a celebrity, they had a reporter there to cover the situation. So when something weird happens around town, they sometimes publish a little notice and said, well, this is the case of Sakim and the bear and the banana pudding. We wonder what will happen next. So that's the story of the bear and the banana pudding. It really did happen, and I never did get the pudding, which I'm sorry to say. Now, do I have time for this other short story? Or
Why, you certainly do.
Okay. Well, I don't know that about calling a story. This is what actually happened today. If you've been keeping up with the Facebook page, I've had a few difficulties of late. Well, more than a few. And it's been real difficult to move. I've got some kind of infection in my leg. So one leg's like 13 inches diameter. The other leg is 21 inches in diameter. It looks like I'm smoking a redwood tree out of the forest. Well, I had to go to the emergency room Monday right after class, and then return for a doctor's visit on Tuesday, yesterday afternoon. Got me scheduled with some kind of a vascular surgeon. I'm not looking forward to that, but and they're going to cut out something else next week. Anyway, they have a whole slice and dice scenario plan. So I was feeling kind of dejected. I started toward the farm to go feed the pigs and pump out about 480 gallons of water and take care of farm chores. All the grandkids are gone, so I'm managing the farm by myself. I had this new prescription, and I can't say the name, but it's about 4 city blocks long, and it's guaranteed to knock this infection out in 10 days. And I got all kinds of cautions. Well, I went in the store, in the pharmacy, I got the prescription, I came out and got ready to get into my little old beat-up truck. And as I got to the truck, I noticed I had a flat tire. Well, that didn't please me a whole lot. I'm not supposed to bend over or stoop over, and I'm not supposed to exert anything heavier than a pen to write the doctor a check, although I am handling 50 or 75 pound bags of feed every day. Well, I was looking at this tire, and almost about to cry. I felt so bad. About that time, a very large, burly black gentleman, I've seen him around once or twice. He goes to the same pharmacy and grocery store that I go to, and he stepped up there and looked at me, and he looked at the truck. He said, "I'll take care of that for you." And I said, "Well, sir, I appreciate that. And these days when whites and blacks are at each other's throat, you don't know how much I appreciate it." And he looked at me and said, "We've been watching you for several months now." And I mean, what do you mean watching me? Am I in trouble? He said, "No, a few weeks ago you came to the pharmacy and I saw you. You pulled up to the handicapped parking spot and you were there first and you were slow to pull in, and then you saw this lady, Miss Betty, that we call the queen of the neighborhood. Miss Betty's about 80 years old, and she's an elderly black lady, and you saw her, and you backed out, and backed up, and motioned for her to pull in the spot. She didn't understand, so you got out of your car, and you went over there, and you told her to pull in there, that she could have that spot." Said, now, I wasn't the only one that saw that. I saw a couple other people there, and we all watched it. And then one of the boys said, "Oh, that's my old science teacher. That's that weird Mr. D. You never know what he's going to do." About that time, another gentleman came up who was Hispanic, and he had a beautiful black wife, and they are what we call foster parents. So they had about 5 kids of every color imaginable. And he stepped up and said, "Hey, let me help." And the guy said, sure, it's only one tire, but we'll take turns. So we had all these three people working on the tire, and out of curiosity, the black man said to the first fellow that just came up, said, well, why do you want to help? He said, well, that beat-up truck is unmistakable. Said several times over the last few weeks, the weather has been real bad, the traffic has been real heavy, and I've really needed to get into the traffic and go home. After a day in the field, it's just devastating to sit there for 10 minutes and not get anywhere. He said, so I recognize that man, and I recognize what's going on. You're changing a tire, I want to help. So they changed my tire, and then spontaneously, each of them gave me a hug. And I thought to myself, the hell with this stuff called karma. You do what's right when it's right. If somebody needs a break in the traffic, what's it going to hurt you to be 10 seconds late? Slow down and stop. Let somebody get in. If you're able to, and someone else really needs that parking space, back up. Let someone else have it. So I thought about that on my way to the farm today, and I realized that's an ideal message for common ground. What you do does to you. You do what's right, and it always comes back in its own way. Creator is like that. And perhaps that's our draw to common ground. It's the commonness. Here are all these people with different backgrounds, and they all pitched in to help this one ragged old guy right here get through a difficult situation. So that's my true story for today. And I thank you very much. So, over and out, Mr. Walter.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sakim. It's so good to hear you. And yet, there's a story about karma right there in the parking lot. All you have to do is put it out there, be helpful, and it returns to you. Yeah.
I gotta go train my voice, but I'll be listening in the background here.
Okay. Thank you, Sakim. So wonderful to hear from Sakim. See, he's doing so well. Still spinning those stories and encouraging us to be better. Our next performer has been teaching and playing with us for years, since the beginning. And he lives in Baltimore. He plays a lot of great music with his son, Brad. And he's a fine hammer dulcimer player, a fine fiddler. And here he is. Make welcome Ken Kalodner.
Thanks, Walt. Indian. And Walt, that fiddle player that you were thinking about, Silly Wizard, Johnny Cunningham, I think was, right? Johnny and Phil Cunningham. I think that's it. It was bugging me too, so I was trying to think about that. All right, I'll continue with a medley on the hammer dulcimer over here. I had to do my staging. You know, I had to get the angle right on the hammer dulcimer and the fiddle so I could fit. So this will be a set of two tunes. The first is Coleman's March, and I'll finish things off with a tune written by a good buddy of mine, a guy named Kurt Steger. He wrote this tune, the one and only tune he ever wrote apparently, called Southern Cross. And a quick shout out to Mary Lynn Vandeman. I thought she did a great job. It was great to hear her play those lovely arrangements. Thanks, Mary Lynn.
Ken Kolodner. Thank you, Ken. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Ken's been working all day. He's teaching all these classes. He's got a bunch of students.
Yeah, busy day.
He's plumb tuckered out, but he rose to the occasion. Thank you, Ken. Thanks so much for being on board with all the things we're doing.
Absolutely.
And great to hear you.
Yeah.
Great to hear you
Thank you.
and see you.
Yeah.
Well, folks, next we have some folks from down Annapolis way. And they represent a long-standing tradition of old-time music and dance. And we, of course, remember with great fondness Eileen Carson Schatz, who passed away last summer after being here. And she left an amazing legacy of dance, crossed many, many barriers, artificial barriers, and did the kind of work that we're seeing trying to happen now in our country. So I'd like to welcome these two wonderful people. They're both great dancers, great musicians, and they seem to be socially distanced. Now, don't get too close together now. Make welcome Marcia Searle and Mark Schatz.
I'm going to start out with just a little song, and then I'll show you a Scottish jig.
So are we up on the screen now?
There you are.
Oh, better. So what are we doing, Marcia?
A Scottish song and a Scottish jig
I like that.
to
That
start us
sounds
out. Oh, the summertime has come, and the leaves are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme falls around the blue heather. Will we go laughing?
Very nice, Marcia. That's some fancy footwork there. And been having a good time today this week with my bass students. And I thought I'd do a little bass something and send it out to them, to Amy and to Caitlin. Now, of course, Caitlin is a wonderful fiddle player, and she was actually took part in the Deer Creek Fiddlers Convention and competed in a couple different categories and took some prizes home. And she showed up in my bass class, and I thought, oh, this is great, from the little fiddle to the big fiddle. So I know this is Appalachian night, but I thought I'd just add a little bit of Louis Jordan to Appalachian night. Why not? And going to do a song about chickens. Of course, chickens is a big Appalachian treat. We like chicken, fried chicken. I like all kinds of chicken, fricasseed, baked, barbecued, grilled. So we're going to do this great Louis Jordan song and put a little bit of slap bass in there maybe, which we've been working on in the bass class. See if I can show off a little bit for my students here. If you're out there, Amy, Caitlin, good to see you guys, and pay attention. All right, so this is called There Ain't Nobody Here But Us Chickens. 1, 2. ain't nobody here but us chickens. There ain't nobody here at all. So quiet yourself and stop that fuss. There ain't nobody here but us. Kindly, we chickens trying to sleep, and you bust in and hobble, 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 hobble with your chin. There ain't nobody here but us chickens. There ain't nobody here at all. You're kicking the ground and shaking the ground. You're kicking up an awful dust. Yeah, we chickens trying to sleep, and you bust in and hobble, 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 hobble with your chin. Tomorrow is a busy day. We got things to do, we got eggs to lay. We got ground to dig and worms to scratch. It takes a lot of setting, getting chicks to hatch. There ain't nobody here but us chickens. There ain't nobody here at all. So quiet yourself and stop that fuss. There ain't nobody here but us. Kindly point that gun the other way and hobble, hobble, hobble off and hit the hay. Tomorrow is a busy day. We got things to do, we got eggs to lay. We got ground to dig and worms to scratch. It takes a lot of setting, getting chicks to hatch. There ain't nobody here but us chickens. No, there ain't nobody here at all. So quiet yourself, stop that fuss. There ain't nobody here but us. Kindly point that gun the other way and hobble, hobble, hobble off and hit the hay. Hey, hey, what do you say? Easy pickings, there ain't nobody here but us chickens. There you go. Okay. Alrighty. So we're gonna do a little bit of Appalachian. I'm teaching banjo too this week. I've had some great students, one of them from Argentina. That is one kind of cool thing about this odd virtual common ground on the hill. There's people from all over the place, as was the case with the Deer Creek Fiddlers Convention. We had people from overseas competing and everything, so that's kind of fun. Martin from Argentina. So we'll send this one out to the banjo class, Cheryl, Martin, and Amy, and Peter. And this first tune I'm going to do is one that I wrote. It's called All Full Up. I had a nice dinner tonight. And then I'll go into a great old Appalachian fiddle tune called Sugar in the Gourd. Is what it is. I think I hear it. I thought I heard an owl hooting out there. We got some barred owls moving out in the woods. And maybe you might see a firefly around here too. All right, all full up and get some dancing going on this one too. Maybe I'll even shake a tail feather myself. together. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. Thanks for Common Ground. We've got a great run so far. Looking forward to the rest of the week and some other great performances, discussions, and our hat is off to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Marcia. And thank you, Mark. Fantastic. They were shaking some tail feather out there now in the dark in Annapolis. You get in trouble doing that around Annapolis, I believe. That was great. It was great to see you all dancing and playing. And by gosh, we're going to make it happen, aren't we? That's what we're doing. We're going to make it happen. COVID be gone.
Alone, it would have been any good.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
We made each other better. It was good.
I was going to push record.
You might want to mute them there.
My goodness.
Before we proceed with our final wonderful act of the evening, I wanted to tell you all a few things. Remember, every night at 6:30 are art talks, and you can zoom in there the same way you got to this concert. Just go to the YouTube channel and click, and there you are. You'll be able to get on the inside scoop of how these artists do what they do, what their thought processes are, and their learning processes. It's fascinating, and we have to thank Linda Van Hart for her amazing work for 26 years. She's 28 now. She started when she was 2, and in arranging and organizing and running the fine arts part of what we do. So remember that. Check in with the art talks every evening at 6:30. And we're just at the Wednesday of our first week. We've got 2 more weeks after this. There's a lot to happen yet. Also like to let you know that there will be an open mic tomorrow night at 10 o'clock p.m. And we're calling it the Virtual Gazebo. For those of you who've been here before, you know the gazebo is one of the places where people hang out and make music back and forth. So that'll be happening at 10 o'clock, and you can also go right on the YouTube channel and click on that, and you can get there that way. And this is being curated by Dan Collins and Phil Speece, who are gazebo aficionados over the year. I want to tell you about a very special concert that's going to happen tomorrow night. We're calling it Common Ground Search for Racial Justice Through Story and Song. There's an amazing lineup of performers. Listen to this list. You know some of these folks. Tim Porter is going to be our MC. Sparky and Rhonda Rucker. Guy Davis. Bing Futch, all the way from Florida. The Sankofa Dance Theater. Shelley Enzer and Alice Dorsey. Sheila Arnold, storyteller. Leah Gilmore, who hasn't been with us for a while now. Larry Brumfield, all the way from Texas. Roxana Harlow, from right here in Westminster. David Facunle from Baltimore. We saw him last night. And Shadow Barr from Baltimore. And this is going to be a concert. I think it's going to be a beautiful gathering and something to inspire us and lead us and for us to listen to. So spread this far and wide. Spread this far and wide. We need some good news, and I think we're going to get it tomorrow night. We need to make good news. We need to learn how to do it better. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our Tennessee Ramblers. They're coming to us from Maryville, Tennessee. I do believe they are home. It's rare to find them home because they're such road warriors. But they've been with us for a number of years and been fighting the good fight, publishing books, singing songs of freedom, and inspiring us. Not to mention hanging out and having a real good time at Common Ground on the Hill. Make welcome Sparky and Rhonda Rucker.
Thank you, Walt.
Thanks, Walt.
We're doing a class this week, doing a repertoire class, and actually this is one we did today. And this is one that we went to Ireland a couple times. Ireland. Did a couple of tours over there, and one of the places we got to stop was Molly Gallivan's farm. Now, Molly Gallivan lived back in the 1840s or so during the potato famine, and she was a widow and trying to make ends meet, trying to support her family and whatnot. And she had, things she would sell, but she found that, she was on the route, a route that people used a lot. And she found that her most popular item that she sold was poachine, moonshine. So, in fact, they called it Molly's Mountain Dew. And at the end of our tour there, at the end of when we saw it, they gave us a taste. And I didn't want mine, so I gave mine to Sparky. And how many people gave you their moonshine, Sparky?
Well, a lot of people just wanted me to taste it for them.
Yeah. How many did you end up with?
I did my best to oblige. I held as many as I could hold in two hands.
Anyway, when we were hearing that story, reminded me of this old mountain song. What makes you sleep so sound? The
Well, that was about 1840 there in Mali, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to come forward just a little bit to 1880 and do something in another mountain modal tune. Well, during that time in eastern Kentucky and southwestern Virginia, there's a feud going on. And you know how feuds are, they begat more feuding. It's the nature of the game. But in the middle of all that feuding, fussing, and fighting, there was some love that happened between Johnson Hatfield and Rosanna McCoy. Cheeks as red as the blooming rose, as the deepest brine, you are the darling of my heart. Stay till the sun goes down. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my little girl, said I'm going back to Harlem. Well, the last time I saw Shady Grove standing in the door, shoes and stockings in her hand and a little barefoot old coat. Wish I had a horse so fine, gonna feed him on. Wish I had a little Shady Grove, feed him when I'm gone. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my little love, said I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I know. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound for the Shady Grove. Well, 11 miles of mountain road, 15 miles of sand. If ever you see me back this way, gonna be a married man. Wish I had me a nickel and I wish I had a dime. Wish I had a little Shady Grove, kiss her all the time. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love, said I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I know. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound for the Shady Grove. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, gonna marry you someday. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love. Hey, don't you wait till Judgment Day. Thank you. That's all, folks.
All right, Sparky and Rhonda, thank you so much. And for those of you who want some more, of Sparky and Rhonda, you can get some tomorrow night at the concert. They'll be reappearing magically, much like Dave Thoman, who will be reappearing on Friday night. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to tell your friends about this. We're all inundated with a lot of music online these days. We know that, a lot of lessons and that sort of thing. But you're not going to get what you get at Common Ground on the Hill, which is community. And bring people in. There's a lot of lonely people out there. We'd love to have them. So you all take care. Thanks to our sound folks tonight, Jack and Rex. Thanks so much for shepherding us. And we will see you all tomorrow, bright and early, at your class.